Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing something completely different as promised last week, but something I absolutely love. So I hope you enjoy this video. Today I'm going to be doing a cook with me, my Sunday dinner meal. So hope you enjoy today. Let me just show you what we're going to be cooking. I am going to be doing a breaded pork chop. So this is just my take on doing pork chops. So I always use similar seasonings. I tend to use, I'm going to show you my seasonings. I tend to use some all-purpose seasoning. Not sure if that's picking that up, but I'm going to be using some all-purpose seasoning, some garlic granules. Also going to be going in with some paprika. I always use mixed herbs in my cooking because I really like the taste of it. And I'll be doing some black pepper, and I'm also going to be putting some cornstarch on this just to give it a bit of that breaded texture. So just going to start to season my meat. Going in with a little bit of all-purpose seasoning. I like my meat well seasoned, so not too much, but just enough to make sure that it's all in there. Then I'm gonna go in with some paprika. Yeah. Then I am going to put some garlic granules. Always like to use freshly cracked pepper, so freshly cracked pepper. And lastly, and this is the exact same way that I always add my seasonings. I don't know, I've got into a routine. So there we go. Some mixed herbs. And I'm just going to turn this over. And I'm going to add the exact same again on the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to add my cornstarch. I'm just going to sprinkle that on there. Sometimes I also use flour, so if you don't have any cornstarch, just use some flour. I've seen someone else use some cornstarch and I thought that's a good substitute. So yeah, you can use flour if you wanted to. So I'm just going to use my hands and I'm going to pat that into that meat. Make sure that gets in there. And I'm gonna flip this over and cornflower fingers, yikes! I'm gonna flip this over and do the exact same thing. Now I am going to get my saucepan nice and hot. Just put about 2 tablespoons of oil in the bottom of my saucepan, and I've let that get considerably, like I would say medium heat. You don't want to burn. So under medium heat, I'm going to start to put my chops into the saucepan. Just gonna let that brown. So I've left this for about 2 to 3 minutes and it's just brown now. So I'm just gonna turn it over onto the other side and let that brown. So my chops are brown. I'm just going to take them out and put them into a baking tray because I'm going to let them bake into the oven for a few minutes more. I'm just going to add my other chops in. Sorry if it's a bit noisy. This is not a quiet process. So I'm just going to check that just to make sure it's browned on one side and flip it over to the other side. Let that brown as well. Notice you've got all those caramelized bits. If you've got any burnt bits on the bottom, you want to remove them. But the caramelized bits, yeah, that's going to create a lot of flavor for us there. Turn my heat down a bit. Minutes, so just gonna check. It's almost there, probably just another minute. Now I'm just going to take my chops out. I think that it's sufficiently browned. I am just going to take them out and put them onto a baking pan. Just arrange them so that you can fit all of them in. I probably should have used the bigger pan, but I think that should be okay. I'm just going to add some water very carefully into this, and I want to just turn it down a bit. I just want to make sure I get all those bits from the bottom because this is going to make an excellent gravy. This is going to make a lovely gravy. Yeah, all those little bits from the bottom. All those little bits. Don't worry about the bits that you see in there because we're going to strain that out of there when we put this on the top of our chops to go into the oven. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more water, and I'm going to add just a tad bit of cornstarch. Just to thicken that up a bit. Just going to use a whisk. Just to thicken that up just a little bit. Going to bring that heat back up to medium. And I'm going to put my oven, so I'm putting my oven on gas mark 6. I'm just bringing this gravy to a gentle simmer because I'm trying to reduce it down a bit. It's going to reduce more while it's in the oven, but I just want to give it a head start. I think I'm happy with that. So I've finished my gravy, and I just want to top these pork chops off with some onions. I've got some sort of medium-sized diced onions. I don't really like onions that much, so I always try to chop them up into bits that are going to give my cooking the flavor, but kind of cook down so I don't notice it as much. So I'm just putting some onions on the top. And I'm going to be putting some sweet pepper on the top as well. So what I've done is I've strained my gravy that I had in that pan. I just strained it to take off all of the bits, and I'm just going to pour that over my chops. This is optional. If you don't want to, if you don't like barbecue sauce, then you don't have to. But I always put a little bit of barbecue sauce. I cover this with tin foil. And I'm going to put this on the top shelf in my oven for approximately 20 minutes. I don't want this to cook too long because I don't want the pork chops to go too tough. So I'm just going to put this in the oven, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like in the end. So bear with me. So our pork chops are in the oven. We're going to be making some peas and rice. I know some people in Caribbean say rice and peas, but I've got to go with my Turks and Caicos true culture and call it what we call it, which is peas and rice. So what we are going to be doing, I'm using sort of a medium-sized saucepan, and I'm just going to get that started. Into that saucepan I am going to go in with about a tablespoon of oil. So when that heats up, I am going to be adding some onions, some medium-sized chopped onions. I just want to make sure that they're sort of caramelized a little bit, not too much. I'm also going to go in with a little bit of pepper, sweet pepper. And at this point, I always like to add my mixed herbs. Don't know if you can see that, mixed herbs. So I can see that this has started to brown a little bit. I don't want to take it to the stage where it's getting burnt. So I'm happy with that now. Now I'm going to be going in with some kidney beans. I think I'm just going to add the whole tin, because I like kidney beans. So give that a stir. At this point, you're going to want to season your pot. So I'm going to throw in 2 bay leaves and a little bit of black pepper. And I'm going to be using a half of this Maggi all-purpose sort of chicken stock. Just going to crush that in. Give that a little stir. I'm going to bring my saucepan back up to medium heat. And I'm just going to let that sort of cook for a little bit to bring those flavors together. So that's cooking nicely, and I can see that sauce is trying to thicken up a bit. So now is the point where you want to add some water. And I know a lot of people will wash their beans before they put them in there, but that's the same sauce that the beans have been cooked in, and I think that just has a lot of flavor. So I always use that sauce. I'm just going in with about, I would say probably 1.5 cups of water. And at this point, I'm going to be adding some browning. Yay! That's my browning sauce. This is just to give it a bit of color. Basically, you can do this by just caramelizing some sugar until it gets to that almost burnt point, and make your own sauce. But it's faster for me to do it this way. So I'm just gonna let that cook. Let those flavors come together. Just be patient. I would say probably give it a good 5 to 7 minutes to just boil a bit, come together. The flavors will sort of marry lovely together. So So I've added a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm sorry, I thought my voice was on, but it wasn't. And I was apologizing for the fact that the sun's just going in and out, and I'm trying to use natural light today. So yeah, I've added, this is the point where you want to add, you know, taste your pot for adjustments to seasoning. So I've just added a half teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to try that again. And that's perfect. That is perfect. So into my rice sauce or water or whatever you want to call it, I am just going to add about 2 cups of rice, and I've washed this rice already, so yeah, about 2 cups of rice. Just give that a mix so that everything is mixed together. You don't have one side with more beans. So you just want to make sure that you have enough water so it covers the top of that rice, and I've noticed that there's a little bit more than I want, and I hate soggy rice. I can't stand it. So I'm just taking out some of the water there. And also put my heat back up to medium. Just taking some of that out, so that is fine. I can see the rice up near the top now. So, and I'm just going to let this cook until that water boils away. So when your rice gets to this point, which is that you can no longer see the water sort of up at the top, and you don't want to mix into this too much, but yeah, you can no longer see the water up at the top. I usually put this on very low heat, very low, the lowest heat that your cooker can get to. And I put maybe about 2 tablespoons of oil. Cover this with some foil and just seal that steam in to finish cooking the rice, because as I said, I hate when the rice gets too soggy. I want to make sure that those grains are separated and what we call grainy. And so this is what I do, just put some foil on the top. That's on the lowest heat possible, and I'm just going to let that steam. Just let it steam. Just don't touch it, don't mix in it, just let it steam. So you guys, this should be how your rice looks after about 5 to 7 minutes of steaming. and I haven't touched this, so hopefully, yeah, it's nice and fluffy. You can see the individual grains. They're not clumping together. So this is exactly how you want your rice to look. You can go ahead and fish out the bay leaves. Don't need them anymore. They've served their purpose. Yep, this is how your rice should look. Nice and grainy. There we go. That's your rice. The unveiling. Woohoo! The unveiling. Ooh, that is really hot, so be careful. So that is how your pork chops will look once they've been in the oven for that 20 minutes. So just gonna let you see how nice and tender that is. Ooh. So you can just break that apart so easily. Oops, making a mess on my stove top here. I'm making a mess. So yep, that's my Sunday dinner. Done and dusted. And I've just made some of my signature coleslaw. If you want the recipe, let me know. Everybody has their recipe for coleslaw, but I thought since you guys have stuck around, I would give you a plate. So there you have it, my completed meal. So we've got some breaded pork chops, some beans and rice, or peas and rice, as we say in the Turks and Caicos. I've just done some vegetables, some beans, and I've done my coleslaw. So hope you enjoy it. Enjoy your Sunday and stay safe, okay everybody? Take care. Bye. You guys, don't forget to tell me what you thought of this week's content, and if you enjoyed this, you'd like to see more videos of me doing other things I enjoy, just let me know and I'll give it a try. So again, take care, have a good week. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, thumbs up button, leave me some comments. Be kind, please. I know that everybody else in the Caribbean has a totally different way of preparing their meals, but everybody has been taught differently. Some of the things are similar, some are not. So be gentle. This is the way I cook it. This is the way I've kind of been shown and then adapted my own dishes. So yeah, just be kind and hope you are having fun. Thank you. Bye.